What do you do when you're out of ideas for posting? Well, you can do what I do and create a video that's titled, What to Do When You're Out of Ideas. Okay, that is the truth. I wrote this video because I was out of ideas, and I needed to figure out why I was out of ideas. So I decided to teach about it. Something that I realized is that I tend to go through cycles of exploration and then working on other parts of my business. So what does exploration look like? Exploration could simply be reading a book about a certain part of your business, like psychology, learning to market based on people's point of view. Could be about a more specific point of your business. It could be a huge experiment that is absolutely crazy and could potentially burn your house down, but in the end, you had fun and you didn't, hopefully, burn your house down. And now you have something to talk about. Anything that is exploration really is just simply about gaining knowledge about your craft. So whatever that looks like to you in your industry. Exploration is really just about gaining knowledge of your industry. And that means that you will have something to talk about when you want to post and you're not sure what to post about anymore. See, when I go through these periods of exploring, I usually am not posting at the moment. I am taking a short break and trying to just have a little bit of fun. But I get caught up often, as a lot of people do, in the other aspects of my life. For instance, I work a full-time job while trying to build Social Update up. Right now it's pretty small, it's very small. And I'm one voice among millions, so I need something else to supplement my income. And with this job, often, we have busy seasons, and we're not in it at the moment, but when I wrote this video several months ago, I was going out of town all the time. Every weekend, which is when most people would have time to work. And I really didn't have more than a single day off. And in that day off, I would sleep in until noon because I was exhausted. So I needed something to post about because I decided, well, I need to have deadlines because that's how I work best. So I didn't have time to explore, and I was just constantly trying to sleep. And I realized that for any business owner, even full-time, that a lot of your time could be potentially putting out fires. And that you're going to get busy doing one thing and you're going to go, oh, wait a second, I have to post today. And you're going to have to create in a rush. Create your content in a rush. And I'm not at all saying that you can't create your content in a rush because I've done it a lot. I 100% have come up to a deadline and been like, oh, wait, I still need, a lot of videos. So it's just pumping them out as fast as I possibly can. It happens. It really, really does. And that's fine. I believe that the best inspiration comes from exploration. Because really, what is exploration? Because when you are exploring, you're simply just out to have a little bit of fun. You're out to gain knowledge, but hopefully in a fun way. So that next time that you're out of ideas, you have these ideas as a backup that you can just put them in your phone when you have them and you have an excess of ideas. And you can take your phone and just look at it and be like, that's a really good idea. I'm going to talk about that today. Another thing that I've learned, and I've learned this actually kind of a while ago, and this all stemmed from a video that I watched. I have no idea how long ago. I do not remember who it was by, so I can't give credit to them. But clearly, I watched this a couple years ago, so clearly this video has made a very large impression. And this video was on creativity. And he was talking about an interview between two authors, George R. R. Martin, who wrote the Game of Thrones books and also helped with the making of the series, and Stephen King, who has a ton of famous books, a lot of books, right? And there was a very key difference in how the two of them wrote. So George R. R. Martin made a comment at one point in this video, and I've seen the entire video, or at least the majority of it, where in the time that it took Martin to write a few chapters, Stephen King had come out with an entire new book. King's comment to this was that he simply made a point every day to sit down and write. It didn't matter if it was a good idea, a bad idea. It was simply an idea, and he can erase it and go back in later. And in fact, actually, I listened to a very short section of a podcast recently as well, where, again, I'm sorry, I do not remember who it was, but the guy was talking about the fact that he encourages people not to come up with the right answer for ideas, but to simply have a lot of ideas up to solve the problem. It wasn't about the right solution to the problem, just having as many ideas as possible. And it's kind of the same way with creating content. If you have as many ideas as possible, you can go back and you can sort through them and decide which ones you like and which ones you don't. As a matter of fact, that's something I've been doing a lot recently is, and I kind of stumbled across this a while ago, but sometimes you realize something and don't really put it into words, and something that somebody else tells you about, and you're like, that's a good way of putting that. Is, I realized a while ago that if I just have all these ideas, I can sort through them later. Who cares? But anyway, so Stephen King sat down and he said, 4 hours every day, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write a few chapters, good or bad. I can go back and decide if I like it later or not. Whereas George R. R. Martin, he waited for inspiration to strike. And subsequently, I read the Game of Thrones books. He stopped kind of in the middle of the story. And I believe now he is either going to or has possibly put out the next book. But it took him years to do that. The entire point of this video, of the video that I watched, to be clear, was that inspiration isn't something that just comes to you. It's something that you have to find. You have to go out and look for inspiration. You have to go out and look for creativity. You have to go out and look for these ideas. They're not just going to come to you. And since watching that video, because this video was incredibly helpful in learning that. And I think this is something that everybody needs to know. Because at that time, I was sitting down and waiting for creativity. I would wait for an idea to come. And at the time, I was kind of more into writing music, and I still kind of try to do that, but I certainly wasn't. I was in high school, so I really wasn't doing this yet, because I started this in college. At that time, in my writing music, I stopped waiting for an idea to come, for a melody to pop into my head, and instead I sat down with my whatever instrument it was at the time, and I put notes together to try to make something interesting. And I take the same exact approach with writing content. Recently, I've been taking a 2-month break, which is why there's a big gap in all of my socials at the moment. Because coming out of my really busy season with my job, as I mentioned prior, things started to slow down a lot. And I realized, I need a break. I'm exhausted from the summer, which is our busy season. I need a time that I can just simply have ideas, where there's no pressure of a deadline other than one that's, in the future, and I can just simply have ideas. So I set goals for myself, and I set a deadline. And I'm very close to beating that deadline, actually. I've done pretty well. And I've just sat down and had ideas. And, sometimes I didn't feel like sitting down and writing scripts at all. And other times it was like, I really want to, but no matter the case, I tried to sit down and at least get one or two out. And of course, the days that I didn't want to, I wrote fewer than the days that I really did. But the point is that I sat down and I said, we're gonna write. I'm going to sit down and write this video, because otherwise nothing is gonna happen. So that is the important part of having ideas, is exploration, so that you have inspiration, and sitting down to create the content. Because then you'll have ideas, because you've had this gain of knowledge, and something's going to come out now. And you're just hopefully going to be able to just write or film or create a lot of content at once. So that is my challenge. If I'm going to challenge you at all, that is my challenge, is to next time that you're out of an idea, sit down and just start. Get rid of all distractions and just start. Just have an idea. Once you sit down and have an idea, it could turn into 100 ideas or it could turn into 2. But 2 ideas every day can very quickly turn into 100 ideas. And 100 ideas could turn into thousands of videos, could turn into millions of followers. That's sometimes all it takes, is just simply to get started and to have the idea, and it will flow from there. So thank you so much for watching. And down in the comments, and I really want to know the answer to this question, so down in the comments, I want you to tell me what's an idea that you are still, to this day, incredibly proud of. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day.